Hi, everybody. I hope you all had a great holiday. I'm Alan Locher, and thank you for joining me in the locker room today. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but today's show with the cast of The Bay is my 100th episode. I have to thank each and every one of you for watching, for suggesting guests, for tweeting me and tweeting other guests, and just being so supportive. I never would have imagined that I'd be still doing this and 100 episodes in, and I'm having a blast, and I hope you are too. I have to thank each and every guest who's joined me over these past 8 months, and let's see what we can do in 2021. Let's get to the Bay. The Bay follows the affluent yet dysfunctional Bay City residents living in a town cursed by Red Garrett, an ominous senator who was murdered by his socialite granddaughter, Sarah Garrett. Living in his shadow, Sarah, his son Pete, and those around them face a series of dilemmas involving rape, blackmail, sordid lovers, and vindictive arch rivals. To watch season 6 of The Bay, viewers can download the free PopStar TV app to watch the episodes on demand, and the best way to watch live on Plex. Find Plex on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV. Go to their live TV guide and scroll till you find the PopStar TV channel. PopStar is playing the season finale tomorrow, December 29th at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, and then we'll replay both parts 1 and 2 starting at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Audiences who want to binge the entire 6th season can watch the 10-hour marathon free on Wednesday starting at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific, and it will play all day long. The second part, the part 2 season finale replays again from 10 p.m. Eastern till midnight, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific on New Year's Eve. The residents of Bay City tackled the COVID-19 pandemic, a fight against injustice, and they showcased the show's first same-sex wedding, which concludes tomorrow in the season finale. It has been a year the Bay City residents won't soon forget. Please welcome to the locker room Kristos Andrews, who plays Pete Garrett and Adam Kenway, Matthew Ashford, Steve Jensen, Najee De-Tiege, RJ Foster-Garrett, Celeste Fianna, Tamara Garrett, and Nardo Ramos. Thanks so much, guys. Here we go. Hey, Kristos, Najee, Matthew, and Celeste. Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Hey, Kurt. Hey.
Did everybody have a good holiday?
Yes.
How about you?
Good. I did. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I know fans are all excited. Part 2 of your season finale airs tomorrow. Kristos, do you want to tease a little?
Well, I can't give spoilers, obviously, but I suppose it's something the viewer will need to process quite a bit after they finish watching. It's fun, it's thrilling, it's a little bit semi-traumatic for the viewer because if your heart's invested in the show, you'll see kind of what goes on. But it leaves open-ended, and anything's possible.
Well, it definitely part 1. Soap operas are always with those big cliffhangers. Part 1 definitely was a great cliffhanger.
That's appreciated.
Definitely. Celeste, I know you have a flight to catch, so I'm going to go right to you. Tell me a little bit about your character, Tamara. She has quite the sordid past.
Oh yes, Tamara. She's a little bit of a naughty girl there. She's got quite a history. She was an escort from Vegas, and she kind of made her way to Bay City, and she's kind of got all this stuff in her past that she's really kind of battling with, but she really wants to have a normal life and a love life and do the right things. And she landed this modeling gig, which she's really taking very seriously. And she will do anything to protect her life that she's building up for herself. So definitely gets herself into some trouble.
And the character that Matthew plays causes a little trouble for you.
Yes. He does a great job, by the way. I love I love working with him. He definitely causes some troubles. I'm trying to think of how to explain it, but basically he threatens my character's life so much that she's so scared that she is going to, die or get killed, get horrendously murdered if she doesn't do what he tells her to do. So she then in turn, with the things she's learned along the way, all of her little tricks and stuff, she knows how to like break into homes, and she breaks into a safe, and she actually steals evidence. As you watch the show, you'll see this, and she steals it from her boyfriend. So you'll see.
I did see that. Matt, what did you think about the role of Steve Jensen when it was brought to you?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. You've
got the kids around, we can tell.
Yeah, I do. Thanks. I guess my nose is running too. Lovely weather we're having. We're having rain out here, guys. This is new. This is the real news. It's the most beautiful thing. I got to say, last night my wife and I stayed up. We watched the Thunder and Lightning show. That was amazing.
He was just telling us backstage.
It was, it's like this part of the country needs this so bad, and I was, I just felt thankful that we finally had a big rain, and it is just so needed out here. Needed all over the world, but we definitely need it here. So anyway, that being said, we didn't really know what Steve Jensen was or wasn't or anything like that. I kind of think he's had one too many alien abductions myself. We started the show with a series of interviews, and because that's about what we could do, and that was, it was kind of interesting because in its way it kind of gave a lot of people a chance to kind of figure out who they were and stuff like that. And The Office is going on right now too. It was going on. And, a lot of people say a lot of things about themselves or what they think is true. And meanwhile, as the audience, you're watching saying, that's not true. That's not true at all. But it doesn't really matter, does it? Because the character thinks it's true. So in the same way, from the very beginning, I kind of said, this is a good opportunity just to let anything is possible. And I think with the character Steve, that's the way I want to approach it. Anything is possible. And it's so fun. Celeste has been so gracious and kind. We were just kind of making up stuff as we go along, and just do some crazy stuff. I think Steve loves everybody equally. Just can't find the right way to express it. Doesn't play well with others all the time. I don't know. It's just
is that how you describe a villain?
Yeah.
Doesn't play well with others, I guess. Right. Well, you know what? Greg, okay, so we started this thing, and Gregory had me go into this room, and there's this poor young woman tied up to a chair with a mask on around her mouth. And, and I like taking this little incendiary device and putting it between her legs. I'm in a room with kids. And then he like leaves her and like, wow, trip. That's a trip. And then what happened? It blew up. Part of the Garrett Tavern got blown up. Oh no. Yeah, but what about the girl? And so anyway, that's the way some of it started. So I kind of go like, well, it's wide open. It's wide open.
It's got to be much more fun to play too.
Well, I try to have fun wherever I play, but with this, people don't usually give you that chance. And I kind of had this idea at a certain point. Just people started dropping dead around Steve, and he said, "I can't stop it. I don't know what to do." People just keep dying.
One of the fans just wrote, "Poor misunderstood Steve Jensen."
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah. Well.
Oh yeah, right.
Whatever whatever. Exactly. But this town, I think of this town a little bit, the town of Bay City, a little bit like maybe a slightly twisted version of Laguna. There's only one way in, or basically one way in and one way out of Laguna Beach, and all those people are locked in there. And they kind of like same with this little town. Everybody like knows each other. They're all in each other's back pocket, and they live by this beautiful bay. but sometimes it isn't so beautiful, you know. And so I mean, I think a lot of these soaps just kind of like they want to bring a small town feeling to sometimes a big town, and we end up with these kind of really funny little hybrids. And that's what Bay City feels like to me a little bit. To Steve, I don't know. I think he just enjoys being out of prison because apparently he was in prison for like 25 years before the show started. So,
well, it is a great show to look at. I mean, kudos to everybody.
Absolutely,
it really looks beautiful.
Yes.
Hey, what do you recall about Nardos when they brought him to you? And tell us a little bit about him.
Well, the first thing that happened with me is that Lane Davies, who was my brother from Santa Barbara and has really become family to me over the years since, he's directed both of my daughters on stage, and you know,
out.
Yeah, in fact, he was about to have my wife go on stage with him playing his queen at a time when her life flipped upside down because her mom got sick, but he's my brother, and he called me up and said, "Hey, man, you want to come and play a scene with me, just like the old days? We'll mix it up a little bit, you know." And I said, "Well, absolutely. I mean, I'll walk over hot coals to work with that dude. He's my brother, you know." And I came and did this scene with him, and it was so much fun. And the immediate thing you get when you show up on the set of The Bay is the sense of you're in a family suddenly. You know, there's that sense of people pulling together and this camaraderie that you always hope for when you go to work, but you don't always find. And I just love it. Nardo accesses the single most important thing to me at this stage in my life, which is that sense of wanting to do a good job as a parent, and the protector in me. I mean, that to me is, you know, when you get toward the end of the game, that is like the thing that most matters. I mean, I literally, the only thing that obsesses me is the well-being of my brood. You know, are my people okay? And I work really hard. I'll use every trick in the book and open my heart as wide as I can to make sure that my people are okay. And that's what Nardo is about. You know, he lost his daughter, Janice. There's a terrible strain of depression that runs in their family, which is something that all of us across the world now are so familiar with. There's so few people that escape the clutches of some form of this modern depression that is so widely distributed. So, you know, that happened to him, and he's very concerned that his granddaughter, Liana, who's played by the great Jade Harlow, may fall prey to it as well. And, you know, to me, that's where the character lines up. That's his North Star, is to make sure that what happened to his daughter doesn't also happen to his granddaughter. And I love playing it, especially in the company of all these people. It's a wonderful show to be a part of.
That's awesome. Well, like I said backstage, one of our, I would love to do a Santa Barbara reunion, and one of our fans just asked us for that. So hopefully we'll get to do that. But I did reach out to Lane, and I don't think he could have done it originally. So we'll be in touch on that at a later date. But that's terrific. Najee, please tell us about your role. I mean, your role, quite a story this season, and so pertinent to what's going on in the world around us. How did you feel, being given that story truly, like right now, as it's unfolding around us?
Yeah, definitely. When Gregory first brought the idea to me, I was actually shocked and honored, and definitely up for the challenge, because all this stuff that's going on out in the world, and I was just saying to myself when I was looking at the videos, like on the news and my phone, I was just like, man, it'll be so great to just capture all this and just in a role. So definitely kudos to Gregory for putting in it in his show like ASAP, to where we're watching it that same year, that Christmas. You know, we have Christmas episodes airing on Christmas, New Year's episodes airing on New Year's. It's I love when it's connected like that. But yeah, my character, he's awesome. He's a Garrett. My mother my mother, who was a Garrett, she passed away, and I'm kind of just in the world of the Garretts now, which is very chaotic. You know, you got Pete, trying to do all this crazy stuff. Family, you got Sarah getting kidnapped. You know, you got all types of stuff going on. But RJ is an awesome character. He's in the house, the Garrett house, and I feel like he's like the nice guy. You know, always trying to do what's right. Shoot, he's a intern at the Bay hospital right out of high school. You know, just trying to help. You know, during this pandemic, just trying to help, risking his life.
But that's sort of where the story really began. You leaving the hospital, getting into your own car, just as, you know, the cop, you know, profiles you. The scene between you and Alicia was amazing. Truly.
Oh yeah.
When she comes into you after and you try to tell her that she doesn't really understand that. For all of you, and Celeste, I'll start with you. Who or what influenced you on becoming an actor?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, Kristos is my real life brother, my blood brother. And I remember our mother putting us into acting classes when we were, you know, just a child. Really, I think it would probably be my mother, our mother. I just loved them. I just remember feeling just such a sense of fulfillment. One of my ways I explain acting is like interactive therapy, almost. Just like, you like scream in someone's face and it's okay, you know. So
don't hurt him.
so I like that. But yeah, our mother. So I always kind of, that bug never really went away, and then, you know, I didn't pick it back up until my late teens. But I just really love it.
And what's it like working with each other?
Oh, it's great. It's absolutely amazing. I couldn't think of a scenario where I would feel like more comfortable and more safe. I mean, it's like Gregory and Kristos. They're my brothers. They're my family. So it's just absolutely lovely. We just get into such a groove of things. Like, okay, we're in production. We're making another series, you know, and it's just like great. You know, it's my favorite time of year, being on set. Like, well, you know, multiple times a year now. So it's just really, so enjoyable, so just gratifying, the whole thing. And then like to do a scene and like see someone else stick really well and just loving his new character. Oh my gosh, and the fans are going.
Yeah. We'll get to Adam Jensen in a couple minutes, but yeah, he's something else. What about who or what influenced you on becoming an actor? I forgot, but I think you performed at like such a young, at 12 at the Hollywood Bowl in a competition. I had no idea.
Yeah, I was a singer, you know, and like all my family is singers now. Everybody's a musician in our family. I basically I was in the Glee Club in junior high school, you know, 13 years old, I guess. And the woman who ran it was a pro. She was a pro musician in LA. She sort of moved in really high Hollywood circles. She was a brilliant accompanist, and she got a lot of gigs playing for fancy singers around LA and stuff. But she had the foresight to realize that she would need to get a pension for her older years. She decided to get a gig as a school teacher. And just my good luck and the good luck of everyone who knew her, she got a gig at the place I was going to school, and she convinced the principal there, a man named Lloyd Pranty. Her name was Ruth Anderson. She became a lifelong friend of mine. She passed away about 4 or 5 years ago. But she basically convinced the principal to allow her to put on abbreviated versions of Broadway musicals. So when I was a 7th grader, suddenly we're doing The King and I. And then we're doing HMS Pinafore in the 8th grade, and then we're doing West Side Story in the 9th grade. And she cast me in good roles in all of those productions, mainly because I could sing, but also because I was one of the, you know, I was a person of color in The King and I, where you're looking for a person of color to actually play the king's son. I got to play the crown prince. So that became my introduction, and the experience of doing that play and then having members of my family, especially my Uncle Eddie, who was the most badass person, to this day is the most badass person I'm personally related to. A total badass, a Golden Gloves boxer, a Purple Heart in Korea, having joined the Marine Corps at the age of 17. Just an amazing man. And he came backstage after the first performance of The King and I could tell that he had been crying. And at that moment, a hook went in me that never has come out, because you realize, wow, you can be a part of actually helping people to feel things that matter to them in that level. And that was my introduction. It was instantly hooked.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, especially you moved a family member who's badass.
Yeah. I mean, you look up to certain people, and, then something happens. I remember in college, I saw a production of Waiting for Godot that I'd never seen anything like that in my life. I thought, whoever did this is a magician. And that man, a director named Louis Palter, then cast me in a play the next year. And I'd already put him on a pedestal. And then he gave me like the validation of thinking I was worthy to work with him. And it helps you build the faith that you can actually belong in a career that's very difficult to process as you go along.
And Matthew, for you, who or what influenced you on becoming an actor? 1 second. There you go. Go ahead.
Okay, baby. Well, yeah. First of all, thank you guys for sharing that, and that's a beautiful experience. I was just going to say I have 7 brothers and sisters, and we all find a place we fit in. And I'm the youngest of 5 boys, and at a certain point, I found that I could make a fool of myself or make myself the butt of the joke or something like that. And sometimes lighten the mood, to undo a tense situation. And I don't know. I didn't care if people were laughing at me or I was the butt of the joke. Didn't bother me. And sometimes we find theater through a healing cure. And I do think healing is definitely a curative art. And I'm glad everyone does it. And Abe, you reminded me that when I was in 7th grade, we just moved from Iowa to Virginia, and my sisters kind of dragged me into the theater thing, and they were doing these little courtyard shows, which were actually little bits and snippets of Shakespeare and musicals and very difficult material that's more than most of us could handle, but not in little bite-sized pieces where you suddenly saw it come to life, for 1-2 minutes at a time or something like that. And I remember that now, that was just it was kind of magical. And there was just things happen. You see people suddenly transported. They're not the person you saw next to the locker earlier that day or something like that. And there is a magic that happens, and that's pretty cool. And I think it started for me there, but I didn't, until I decided to go to the North Carolina School of the Arts, because I wasn't sure what else I was going to do. And my dad said, well, good luck, because you're going to have to pay for it. I don't have the money. And he looked at me like, well, what are you going to do? And I had to give up everything I thought I might do when I was coming to my graduating, summer or whatever, and worked 2 jobs and never went out, never did anything. And, I made the money to go to school at that time. And nobody was prouder than my dad and mom. But they kind of said, they didn't know anything about acting, really. He was a barbershop quartet singer, and my mom was the theatrical person, but they never pursued it. This is such a difficult business to be in. And everyone here on this, we're the lucky ones. We're the lucky ones because we've actually had a chance to do this and make kind of a living. I got a daughter in New York now, just came out of musical theater school, and there's nothing, obviously. There's nothing. And, my hat's off to everyone who has, I heard someone say, actors, Matthew Modine I was talking to him, and he just said, I think actors are the bravest people I know. Why would we to go out there and do that? And it's just with humility and looking at everybody on this screen right now, like it's very challenging and scary to do this. And so my hat's off and thanks to everybody here who is willing to try to do that. I'm going to keep trying. I have the fortune to do it.
Scary is the right word. And I was going to ask, which you just answered sort of the question for A and you, Matt. Do you have children who followed in your footsteps? It sounds like your daughter definitely did. A, how about you?
Yeah, my 3 children we have a son and 2 daughters, 34, 30, and 27. And they all are actors and musicians. And that my daughters particularly are pursuing it really strongly. You know, it is so hard. It is so hard. And I think it's probably harder now than it was when I started. You know, the competition is much more intense. But, you know, somebody does end up doing it. You know, there are people that actually supply, you know, the storytelling skills that help us make sense of our lives. And you know, if you love it and find that you have a reasonable level of gift for it, you know, then I've never been one to say don't follow this. I just thought that they could look at me and go, oh, this is hard. You know, because, you know, you're going along, and I've had a extremely long and wonderful run, but I've had to move my family. You know, we've lost our home. You know, we've lost so much in times when things went sideways for me. And there's nothing you can do about it. You know, you're all in and you built this thing, and then the whole thing collapses, and you got to say to your wife and your kids, you know, we got to pull up stakes and go someplace a lot cheaper than where we're living to keep surviving. You know, it's really hard. So they saw all that, and I figure if they got to do it after seeing all that, then that just shows you that they were meant to do it. And they're better than me, so why not?
That's a good take on it. Najee, and I heard it was your dad who pushed you into this. Is that the story?
Yeah, my dad got me into it at a young age, and it's one of those things that when I was young, I just wanted to have a good time, have fun, be with my friends. He told me from a young age, I want you to be an actor, and I kind of I listened, but then I did what I wanted, and then later on, I got discovered by a manager who pretty much got me in the whole game, and then I really pursued acting, and that was shortly right after high school. So, yeah, that's my little story.
That's your little story. Kristos, I'm going to go back to Celeste because I know she's got to go shortly. So I just want to get her to talk a little more. Celeste, so your first man on the Bay was Brian Gaskill, and your most current one is Brandon Beamer. So talk about working with both gentlemen. I mean, I know Brian played a rapist, so there's a bit of a difference there.
Yeah, but, that was a good relationship for Tamara. She knows how to pick him. And then she saw Colton on the show for a little while. Yeah. That was equally, well, it was not equally, but pretty bad also. So Brandon Beamer's character, Evan Blackwell, is like a saint compared to the other ones.
What do you think you learned from each of them?
What's that?
What do you think you learned from working with each of them?
Personally, or do you think, or the character?
Personally, what you might have.
You know, they're all really great actors and very different. Brian Gaskill was definitely in his I'm like rapist character, so it was like I was like, oh, you know, but he was great. You know, he was great to work with. He definitely gave a lot of material to work on, so he made it kind of easy for me. And then same with Colton's character, that he got recast, but both of those actors were great. I'm really super happy with Michael Copan on the show. He's awesome. And then Brandon Beamer, he's just such a great co-star to work with. I really, you know, we just have a groove and we vibe into it, and we really like. He's like, okay, well, what about this? Why don't you try that? And I'm like, okay. And then, you know, he's like, he's just he's great to work with. So I'm like super happy. They're all very different. But yeah,
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens next season, since
I know. Oh my gosh.
He's not too happy with you at the moment.
No, certainly not. I'm not happy with myself either.
Angelique just said, we so need the Bay in the Netherlands. So we have a lot of people watching today from the Netherlands. Oh. And she actually met you, Celeste, when you were there in the Netherlands. So
she's great. She's a doll. She's we're so happy to have her as in the whole group of men. So I met her in Amsterdam. I actually flew out there because Kristos was busy on set filming. He had one of his biggest scenes that day, and he's like, Celeste, oh my God, I'm winning this award for Best Actor in Amsterdam International Film Festival. And I'm like, okay, well, what if I go on and pick it up for you? So it was my shortest trip to Europe ever. I went there and back in 24 hours. And it was like, whoa. But it was really cool. So I saw her there at that festival.
Thanks for having my back, sis.
That's awesome. I had dinner. I did 24 hours in Amsterdam once too. My sister works for the airlines, and I have family there, so it's a fun thing to do when you can do it. Chris, I know you talked about this in the last show, but tell us, what inspired you again to be an actor, and then when did you hear that they were going to, make you have a dual role?
Oh, so well. Which should I answer first? Let's think.
The actor thing. Go to the actor. And then we'll go to...
Yeah. Okay. So similar to Celeste, we had a wonderful mom who encouraged pretty much the opposite of what a conventional encouragement usually would be from parents. And she would encourage us to be as creative as possible and like artists as possible. And she is an artist herself. She also coupled her life with doing business real estate wise and all that. So she accomplished both ends of the spectrum at once, but she always loved the arts more, and she wanted to encourage that in her kids. So I kind of was like, all right, well, I'm going to just go with the flow. She's putting us into acting classes, into plays, whatever. I was younger, and then I got into skateboarding, and then it was nice because I was able to ride out skateboarding to the point that I made my own independent decision to get back into acting. And it also helped that I knew her wishes were that way. And acting kind of grew on me. It didn't start out like as my end-all, be-all big dream. I knew I loved movies as a kid, and I looked up to the actors in them. And I always thought it was a pipe dream. It wasn't something that you necessarily see as pragmatically achievable. But nonetheless, I loved it, and I knew that. So, I don't know, skateboarding was going great. And everyone presumed I was going to go pro, and that was my path. And then sort of things happened a different way, and I wanted to just go with it. And life does a certain mysterious thing. One of my best friends said, hey, we're doing a play, but actually it's a badass play. It's Fight Club the play. You should do it. And I did it. Wow. Yeah, I just did it like whatever at Pally, and I actually had fun. What I enjoyed a lot was the teamwork, working with other people, just being creative, being goofy, but having fun, and being serious and goofy back to back, and just enjoying each other's energy, really. And that was cool. So that kind of led to the next thing, which was we just kind of, a friend of mine said I should do this acting class, and I did a few acting classes. And Celeste actually joined at Baron Brown Studio, and we both went into that. And then next thing that happened shortly thereafter, my mom's having an event at her art gallery. Gregory walks into it, and he's like, next thing I know, we become close. We become like, he's my big brother suddenly, kind of training me a bit at the acting. And it was really all just, all right, let me just go with the flow. I'm still a skateboarder, but I'm going with the flow. And next thing that happened, I kind of got I want to always, like, whatever I'm going to do, I want to give it my utmost, my best. Mm-hmm. So I am doing this acting right now. Let me give it my all, give it my best. he ends up casting me on The Bay. That's my first legitimate role. I'd been doing like commercials and some print work.
I'd say it changed your life a little.
Yeah, but it was like a progressive thing. It wasn't like I knew this exactly. I wanted to know, rather from the outside looking in, from the inside knowing it. It grew on me, and to kind of step into the shoes of a role and to understand different circumstances in life, it helps you to be more empathetic towards other people, more compassionate, and it helps you understand, you know, there's a lot of you in other people. So it helps with unity. And that's kind of what I love about this craft. It's the practice of being human and understanding the humanity in each other, and it leads to unity.
That's great. Well, so tell me, when they brought, you know, Adam Jensen into the picture, what were you excited, scared, all of the above?
Yeah. At first, I'm like, I was against it at first. I have to retain the honesty about it. I was like, dude, am I gonna just play like my own twin, like an evil twin? Like, I don't know. And it was something to pull off. That's for sure. I don't know. I just thought maybe it's cheesy. Maybe it just has to be fully committed to. So that it kind of went through. Now that it was the third time they recast the role 3 times. So it made sense now. Okay, like Gregory as head writer made the decision along with Wendy, and they kind of turned to me and said, "Kristos, just do it." And Najee and I had a convo too, actually, where Najee kind of understood that. He's like, I think they were just like, "Kristos, just do it. You do it. Kristos will do it." And it was literally just like that. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. But once I knew I was just gonna do it, it was a big commitment. So I wanted to give it my all. And I'm happy that Gregory and the writing team did a good job. I'm happy that I had some good material to work with. And I'm happy that, just lined up.
You have an incredible scene that if people haven't seen, of you sort of play. I mean, you play 2 characters, but you're talking in the mirror, and it's a phenomenal kind of scary scene at that as well.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Celeste, I just want to make sure you let me know if you have to leave, because I know you have.
I do.
Okay.
Longer, I'll miss the flight. So
it's your flight. Thank you so much for joining us. I know the fans are so excited you were here. Stay safe and have a happy New Year.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to hopefully being on again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good to see you.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Have a safe flight. Yeah, happy
2021 be a good year.
Yes.
Yes.
A healthy year.
Yeah.
What did all of you think about, you know, the show just even tackling COVID? I mean, watching it was really so realistic to me, and just bizarre in a way as well, because it was as if it was, you know, every day I'm sure we're all seeing so many images on the news, but here you were telling it in real time, just like Najee's story, which was, you know, what did it, you know, when you heard this, that they were tackling COVID?
Yeah, I loved it, you know, and I love that, you know, my character is watching his granddaughter walk out the door to go to a BLM protest in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I just thought about, you know, exactly, again, drawing from the way I feel when I hear that my own children are in the streets at a time like this because they feel they can't afford not to be. You know, I thought it was really appropriate, and I was really proud of the show to take it up. I would have been disappointed. I think it would have diminished us if we had pretended that none of this stuff is going on. I think that would have been a mistake. It would have been simpler, but it would have been a mistake. And I love the fact that the show decided to turn around and look at it. I thought it was.
I agree, and I think there's nothing we shouldn't be taking anything lightly or simple, as you said, because we have to have these conversations to change the world. And Najee, because I didn't ask you earlier, but I'm curious, in your real life, you know, have things, you know, happened to you that I'm sure helped play the emotional level of the story as well.
Yeah, there's definitely been some times that that can relate to these type of situations. But I just drew. It's one of those things that I just drew from it and some other stuff and just kind of put it all in one and on the show is what you got. Definitely wanted to unleash it. Definitely wanted to let it all out. Definitely wanted to get across that this means like the world to me, like and the character he definitely felt it because being following the Garretts is amazing. Being with the Garretts is amazing, but there's also a price, and
well, that's part of I think the interesting part of that story is being an outsider in that white family.
Exactly. So it was once again big thanks to Gregory for seeing that little detail and weaving it into the storyline, making a big part of the storyline. We had some really good juicy scenes that Alicia were able to, Avery on the show, that we were able to dive into. Me and Pete.
But even Pete, yeah, how neither one of them can understand what you're going through.
Yeah, it was. I saw the show and I was like, oh, that's really cool how they weaved it in there to where Pete was at his mother's house, and then she's like, you got to go check on RJ. Something's going on, and he goes, and then it's this build up, and I'm just like rejecting him. You would think that I would accept him. I've accepted him the whole show, but then I reject him too. I reject Avery. So I love the show where it's just very versatile and definitely like Martinez said.
Who's your visitor?
What?
Your cat. Is your cat
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yo, the cat was on the ranch.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That ranch looks pretty nice, fellas. It doesn't look like a bad place to film.
Thanks. Yeah, it was good. It was safe. It had all the gates were locked. Everyone quarantined. We had our own rooms and we did our checks every day, and it worked out. Thank God for that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got cats. I don't even notice them until you say it. But yeah, you're right. You gotta go. So,
hey, Matthew. I know your first daytime role was One Life to Live, but you moved over to Search, where you had a major role. I actually tried to get in touch with you for a Search reunion, which I will try to do again. But tell me about your experience on Search for Tomorrow.
Well, it was the oldest show. At that time, it was the oldest show. At that time, 36 years, 30. It seemed like forever to me because I'm young. Was young actor. But I worked with Mary Stewart, who was considered the first
legend.
Grand Dame, the first. Yeah. Well, I mean, they're all legends now. I was just with Linda Dano. I've been with some, we get a chance to work with some amazing people. Nicholas Coster, I understand, he was just kind of retired from the Bay. And, every now and then you get a chance to work with some pretty amazing people who have made this industry, not just the film industry or television, but, in Mary's case, it was live television. And if the actors came from Broadway, New York actors all the time, got on that show, and all of a sudden sweat flops, just because all of a sudden they started a 15-minute show back in 1953 live, and the actors would freeze on live television, and the camera automatically swung to young Mary Stewart, who had to know their lines and her lines and just keep going. And she developed a kind of a, to talk, a lot like that, And it sounded like that old Gladys character, that funny old witch on Bewitched, who some of you guys wouldn't even know. Yeah. Well, kind of gob, and it's a funny thing. She did Jack Benny like nobody's business, but it was part of her technique just to get her feet under her and do it. And that I realized I've had the benefit of working with a lot of amazing older actors who've kind of shown me their chops. Sometimes it's just in the trenches. You realize you got to get a show out. You can't take forever to do this stuff. You got to get on it. I had these kids on the bay. One night, Gregory's waiting for me out in Topanga Canyon with Wendy and Mary Beth tied to a tree. And I had to get out there. And I said, I have to get the kids. My wife's getting home from work, and I had to get out there in the pitch dark in my little car. And there was a forest fire coming over the ridge. We thought Topanga was going to start burning. And those guys are all out there trying to shoot this thing. It was just outrageous and silly at the same time. And I got there just in time, and they were waiting, and we just, drank some fake blood and got in line and did my ooey, ooey, ooey thing. And it was ridiculous. But, that's the thing about this particular medium is you got to do it. It's a little bit like live television. There's just not time for take after take after take. You kind of got to get on it and just go. And I learned that on Search, and I continue to learn that here from these. And you watch young actors jump up and do it too. And then it's exciting because you realize we all got it. We just got to jump in and do it. But it's great to have, people who come before you show you how, first time I saw Tristan on this show, I went, Tristan doesn't do anything. Tristan walks in, he's just there. And that's the pleasure of working with some of these people. He's kind of wow, they're just there. And then they are enough. And it's a wonderful lesson. One of the benefits of working on the Bay is getting a chance to work with all these great people. I haven't had a chance to have a scene with A yet, but I would certainly love that. That would be, that would be that's the benefit for us. I think no one is going to give us this shot unless we create our own show to do it. So anyway, I appreciate it too. Yeah. Were
you both at NBC at the same time for Santa Barbara and
Days? Yes, we used to watch. Santa Barbara was the go-to watching show for us. Because we're like, wow, look what they're doing now in Santa. Look at the right over there on Studio 11. They were showing you how to do it. It was really amazing to watch everybody, and frankly, to watch you as a leading young man hero. Was cool. It was just cool because you were like this cool guy, and there's nobody like you on network television that I was seeing. Jimmy Smits was years away as far as I was concerned, and Santa Barbara was doing it, and I enjoyed everybody. I loved watching Elaine and those guys. They were just, it was just fun, good stuff. So yes, I worked. So yes, we were there.
And we know. And you both were part of huge super couples at each of your own shows.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't realize it at the time, but I guess. I realized when the Jennifer character and Jack, when she was about to finally lose her virginity on the show, we found out that all these teenagers and preteens have been watching the character of Jennifer for years. So we were told we had to do it just right, whatever that means.
Well, because they were growing up with her as their role model.
And she was a major role model, and she was told that on set. And Missy was really kind of cool about it, but you realize you got thousands and thousands of little girls watching. What are you gonna do? So they were trying to be responsible, and there's nothing responsible about a soap opera. Nothing. It's irresponsible actions always. But then people try to do a good thing, and they're like, ay. Then,
but they can educate, and just like you said, though, having on television at that time, way before you just said it, it is a big deal.
It was to me. I know it was to
you know, representation.
Missy had been on Santa Barbara before she went over to Days.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So we knew Missy really well. We were rooting big time for that relationship.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Plus, you guys were like the only reason we got to be on, because you gave us an audience, right?
Yeah.
You would precede us, and we got to basically keep some of your audience so people would even look at us. You know, it was we were big time rooting for it, and just in general, you know, just watching people who had been doing it a longer time. One of the reasons Santa Barbara was so unique is that nobody involved with it had ever done a soap. So we didn't know what the hell we were doing, the truth be told. I mean, it took us 6 weeks to finish a show before midnight. So we were barely making it. And,
Wow.
and it was really nice to have like actually a show that knew how to do it happening 200 yards away. I mean, literally. So yeah, and I loved it.
Najee, what was your first role?
Well, I guess my first breakout role was Power Rangers Samurai on Nickelodeon. I was pretty much, yeah, that was my biggest role. So it was amazing.
Yeah, it seems that, I mean, you know, kids television, you know, to be in their living room and you know, it's sort of, I think a lot, sort of like soaps, fans in daytime follow you everywhere. Kids television, I feel like it's the same thing. You know, think of Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana, you know, people are probably following. So it's not a bad first gig. Not a bad first gig. Kristos, listening to A and Matthew talk about their super couple, you know, Pete and Vivian, you know, I'd say for the Bay are the Bay's super couple, you know. What do you talk about? You know, talk about that.
Crucci's very natural to work with. We have like this. We have a good. It's a good energy flow between us. A lot of people will let us know we have great chemistry. We step into it together and we show each other a lot of respect and a lot of support as we're doing scenes together. And it's very much just between us, and it becomes a life of its own. And yeah, she's a joy to work with. She's a great scene partner, and I love the scenes that we're given, we're written for, and we engage in a way that's gentle. It's passionate, but it's gentle and it's nice. And
it seems like a very respectful relationship. And I think I told you the last time, I'm a big fan of hers from Claws. And when I started watching you guys, I knew I recognized her, but such a departure from her role on that show. Such a crazy departure. I should have. I wish I had a picture of your blue Power Ranger, Najee. We should have shown that during this for the fans.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the room.
just hold it up.
Do you guys know? You know, is there talk of when you'll start production for the new season? I know, you know, the cliffhanger part 2 of you know, the season finale airs tomorrow, but
yes, it does.
Is there talk of when you'll start up again?
Nothing's in stone yet, so I can't really say. But it certainly leaves off on an open-ended point, which gives the idea, yes, for sure, it continues. We haven't, it's not in stone when we're continuing filming, but the way it's being written, yes.
Oh yeah, I expect there's lots of story to tell. You can see it. You know, you can see it in all the stories you're telling currently.
Yeah, lots of seeds growing.
Yeah, lots of things happening. Lots of opportunity. Hey, you've appeared in so many primetime series. I saw that you did All in the Family. I mean, what do you recall about that experience?
Being in awe of Carol O'Connor. I couldn't believe that a person could be as such a beast of burden as that dude. I recall that there was I did an arc where Archie got turned on to diet pills. Someone was doing him a favor. It was the last year that the kids were on the show, and he had his bar, but it hadn't yet become Archie Bunker's Place, and the show was still All in the Family. The kids were still there, and I was playing the janitor in his bar, and someone turned him on to diet pills, and he had to do this monologue, this incredibly long, pointed, super emotional monologue where he actually let down his hair, and we got to actually see inside his gruff interior and see a little bit of Archie Bunker's heart. The way the show would work is you bring in an audience, a studio audience, and the guy would come out, the comedian would come out and tell jokes and get people warmed up. Then you do the entire performance in front of this live audience. Then they send all those people home, and the cast would break for dinner. And during dinner, we'd get notes, and they'd bring a whole new audience in, and we'd tape the show again with another comedian making the people getting loose and tape it again. So you would tape the show twice on the evening, and they could basically pick between the two performances to see if they wanted to use the dress rehearsal version over the legitimate version, if it worked better or something like that. And then after everybody went home, we'd film pickups. But what blew my mind was this: Archie had this super departure thing where he's talking about his true heart, goes on, and at dinner they come. I'm sitting, 3 or 4 people away from him. He's across the table from me, and the producers walk up and they go, "We've rewritten this monologue," and they laid it down in front of him, and he's got basically 15 minutes now before he's going in front of another live audience. And I'm just thinking, wow, I hope they didn't rewrite it too severely, because that's ridiculous to ask somebody to do a whole new monologue live. How can you?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, I was just, and the dude went out there, and it was way different, and he killed it. I mean, I don't know to what degree he improv'd it, because I didn't ever get to put my eyes on the words, but it was so radically different from what he'd done 2 hours previously, and he killed it. And I just thought, that's a level of skill and courage that that all of us should aspire to. It was just, it was the takeaway. I'll never forget as long as I live. It was just one of the greatest.
It's great to see it, like one of your early roles to witness people do things like that have got to be like educational in a lot of ways.
Right, and that happens to us a lot. We all get taught by each other. One of the things that happens in this game is you get exposed to these amazing people who have chosen this path as a path. Very few people who choose this path aren't kind of amazing. So, you get to watch and learn from other human beings that are in the process of really developing themselves on a high level. And it's a privilege to be a part of it.
That's awesome. Najee, did you get a photo for me over there?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Let's see that.
Oh, a video. I got a couple photos too. But
behind you put something behind you. Is that the Power Ranger behind you?
Oh yeah. You said grab some. It was over here. So boom, that's me.
Show us. Put it up on the screen. Put it up on the screen so we can see it.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Nice,
That's
bro.
awesome. Thanks for getting that. I appreciate that.
That's cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
What have you all learned about yourself during this time that you possibly didn't know before, Matthew?
Well, here's my action figure.
What is that?
Nice.
Yeah, there he is. That's my kid's gonna go, why do you have him? Well, he's kind of my action superhero kind of
Well
guy.
done.
What have I learned? You mean during this time? I first of all, I can't really quite believe that Gregory and Kristos and those guys said, let's keep shooting this thing. Because I was going wow, man, it's okay, all right, good luck. Because I mean, this is a tough time. I get phone calls from New York where they're saying, are you guys all right out there? Because it's bad. And I go oh yeah, it is bad. and it's, you know, people trying to continue to do something, to art, tell a story. I'm kind of in awe of it, and I appreciate, you know, Gregory. They've tried to be as careful as possible in doing this, because it's just going outdoors now, you know. So we have I call it some unhoused neighbors down the street, down under a bridge, and I telling my kids this today, so we are so lucky to be in this house with a roof over it. But you know, these people who we see every day, I'm trying to expand my view, and I appreciate people like, you know, like Gregory's, like, you know, expanding the view on this show, because like, what else do we got to give? Some of those network shows, everything has to be done so through a corporate ladder of stuff. It's just great to see things reflected in life, and I'm trying to keep, you know, in awe of that, with all the, you know, if 2021 or 22, 23 is going to be good, we have to take the lessons of 2020 and take them with us, and not like try to act like, oh, it's over, it's gone, you know. I'm trying to think like that, and like, as the storytellers we are, take opportunities like this, like the Bay, let alone Black Lives Matter, and let alone the Me Too movement, which, you know, I still am waiting to see how the Me Too movement impacts not just daytime television, but all this serialized storytelling. Because, you know, I look at some of the things that my character's done, I go like, it's really kind of odious, you know. And I want to learn from all this stuff, and I look forward to us taking this stuff and doing things that nobody else is, that people are afraid to do. And I want to be quietly hopeful and be a part of things like that. And that's you know, that's what I'm thinking about in my little bunker. Thank you.
Well, it's so interesting you say that, though, because you and A come from network shows, and, you know, Gregory tackles not just COVID, but Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ, you know, wedding, all in one season, where, you know, a lot of this on network television might, you know, one of these stories probably would have got nixed for whatever, you know, whatever, you know, executive didn't think it was appropriate to tell, or, you know, was afraid of the reaction to it. So it is pretty great that you guys were able to tell. So seriously, kudos, Gregory, kudos to all of you for telling it. What do you think you've learned about yourself, or something you didn't know about yourself during this time?
You know, actually, not much. I actually sort of have reacted to this in the way that I would have expected. I'm pretty tired now. I don't have a lot of extra energy to spend worrying about things that are beyond my control, and I take really good care of myself, and really good care of, as we were talking about earlier, about the people around me. I take really good care of my people. So it's been a little bit like business as usual. But one thing that I think is important to say, and to hold on to, you know, we may look back on this whole period of time that includes the development of the Me Too movement, you know, and Black Lives Matter, and the revelation that has been forced upon us by having to actually stop for a minute and measure who is really making this game work. Who are the people that we cannot do without? And why is it that those people are disproportionately suffering under this plague? You know, that is so profoundly critical to acknowledge, to hold, and to address going forward. And if we have a chance to do that and actually make good on it, then we can look back on this whole experience as being a blessing in disguise, which is so hard to see right now. But it's possible that we may actually be able to look back and think, this is the moment when we decided to stop messing around and taking the situation seriously to the degree that it is not working for the vast majority of us. You know, it comes right down to, like, you know, the way that the Black Lives movement is sort of like gained a little bit of ancillary energy from the people that are trying to make the truth about climate change. The way that the new government impending that's about to come into being has actually focused on, we're going to have people that are devoted to just making sure we get through this, because it's so obvious. I mean, this rain that comes that we're giving thanks for, the first thing I think when the rain comes is, now the next time the wind comes up, they won't cut off my power. Because like lately this year, when the wind comes up where I live, they cut off our power because they're so afraid that the wind is going to lead, combined with the drought, to burn the place up. 2 years ago, my hometown burned to its knees. And, the rain comes and we have a chance to actually do something about that, right? And the wind is wilder, and it's just we've had our head in the ground as to the degree to which our game doesn't work. And it may be that this wonderful period of time, we can look back at it and go, this is the moment when we went, oh, we got to deal with this.
Well, you have to hope that we have learned, and we can grow from this experience.
My prayer.
I mean, seriously. Najee, anything you learned about yourself during this time that you didn't already know?
Yeah, I'm a pretty good homebody. I'm really ripping my hair out. I'm just like, the days fly by. I like to learn. I like to just do things.
It is crazy to think that this started back in March and that it is, basically New Year's already. It has gone faster than I think we all probably expected it to, because of the nature of it.
Exactly. And I think it's kind of funny because I was talking to people when it was first happening, and they're like, oh, it'll be done in like a month or two, 3 months or two. And I was just like, nah, this is gonna last for like a year for sure. But it scares people, if something drastic happens and they're like, you're gonna be in your house for a year, you'd be like, oh snap. So
it is oh snap. It is oh snap.
Yeah.
Kristos, for yourself?
Yeah, it feels like it's funny because it's been the longest time ever, and it's been like you hibernated, you fall asleep, you open your eyes again. It feels like things have been on pause ever since it began at the beginning of the year, and now we're just gonna re-enter where we pick up where we left off when things are normal, God willing. But yeah, it feels like both the longest time and the shortest time. You don't have the reference to real life because no one lived in a real life situation kind of a way. They've just been in hibernation mode, really. So it's been like, it's been a trying long time. And then at the same time, it feels like it's gonna life just you remove part of life real quick or something.
It certainly is. Before I let you go, when did you finish this season?
When did we finish it?
Yeah, when did you finish taping?
We're going to go out in a minute, okay?
I don't actually know the exact date because we had a few pickups afterwards.
I was curious because I mean, you were telling these stories. You were able to do this whole season, tell these great stories, and I
Thank
you. Kudos to all of you. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Everybody,
Thank you.
have a happy New Year. Have a great
Thanks so much, Alan.
Oh,
Really appreciate Good seeing you all.
Same action.
Good seeing
Wait,
you too.
Matt,
Hero is
Kristos
Matt
got
right
your
here.
doll too.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. I feel you.
Matt sent it to me through the computer.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
There you
thanks
go.
so much, guys.
Been a
Wait till
pleasure.
you find out. Wait till you find out that the twins came from different fathers. How did that happen? I don't know. It's the Bay.
Yeah.
Matt, when was your last day? Because I think Gregory said you shot the last day.
We shot. Yes. I shot something undercover in the dressing room at Days of Our Lives while everybody was at lunch, and I had the lights out. And he said, you said, it looks like you're kind of hiding. I said, yeah, Steve wants everybody to think he's cool and he's out safe. I said, but he's not safe at all. There's people all around him. I mean, how safe was Osama bin Laden? Come on. Come on. We know that. He's down in a hole, and the same hole that Saddam Hussein went down. I don't know. It's that's the way I end up looking at it, because everybody thinks that they're untouchable and all that. So surprise, surprise, surprise. That's what this time has shown me.
Yeah, seriously. Well, Happy New Year, guys. Thanks again for doing this.
Yeah, loved you all.
Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
Thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks
Ciao for now.
Ciao. Thanks for tuning in today, everybody. Don't forget, the season finale airs tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, and then they will replay both parts 1 and 2 starting at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And don't forget, you can download the free PopStar TV app to watch the episodes on demand. Thanks again for watching, and you will see the scene we were just talking about that was shot at Days tomorrow in that finale. Thank you, Kristos, Matthew, Najee, Celeste, and A for joining me today. If you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so right below here. And don't forget to turn on the notifications so that you're reminded of upcoming shows. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.